How fair. Oh, okay. Welcome to the video, everybody. Welcome to Mad Red United. Poolside again, Disneyland. Only I would book my holiday for the last 2 weeks of the transfer window with being 8 hours behind and everything happening well. Obviously, I'm still in bed, so first things first, wake up this morning to good news, which was a confirmation that Harry Maguire has actually signed, sealed, delivered. All the pictures are done, medicals completed, everything announced, blah blah blah. But then obviously moving on to the rest of the day for you guys back home, obviously a lot more news has broke, and the main news coming out of that was the fact that United are not going to be spending any more money this summer, or there's going to be no more incomings in terms of transfers for United for the rest of this transfer window. That coming from James Cooper, mainly from Sky Sports News, who has done little clips and snippets with the United stand. So yeah, I'm not reading too much into that myself, to be honest, but if that was the case, then obviously there are going to be a few concerns regarding certain positions at United. We spoke about it in the last video regards to our midfield and the fact that we desperately need another midfielder, and the proof was in the pudding against AC Milan in the friendly. I know it was only a friendly, keep saying it, I know, but it was there for all to see that we are drastically lacking in terms of technique, especially, and speed and guile in our midfield. We have workers there and we have players who are past it in there. We have one player in Paul Pogba who now has been made clear and present at Madrid are still well in for. It is looking like they may come up short and Pogba will still be staying, but I just wanted to go on the start of this video with the actual title that I've said. I mean, I understand where people are in terms of still wanting more signings. I do myself still believe that we do need more, but in terms of this transfer window, if we look at it at a long-term structure, for the first one for Ole, how is everyone judging this window? I just wanted to get everyone's opinion on that first before we move on to a couple of other subjects that I wanted to touch on. So in terms of this transfer window and how it has gone, who has come in, who has left, which for me has been the major issue all along in terms of players leaving. I did think there would be a lot more, and obviously still could be a lot more. So quickly, before we get into the nitty gritty, there's a few people just coming in as well. I just wanted to give Mike United a shout out. I was supposed to give this guy a shout out a few weeks ago and I totally forgot. Mike is, if you look at my last tweet, he's on my last tweet actually asking for a shout out. Mike was the guy who had open heart surgery a while back into last season, just before the Liverpool game. Came out of the open heart surgery all okay and was in the recovery. You could say the recovery part of his open heart surgery, and was actually listening to the United and Liverpool game a day after having surgery done. So big shout out to Mike. Hope the recovery is still going well, mate, and everything is all good. A few people have already come on with a few comments. I'm guessing this is all going to be regarding how this transfer window has gone so far, so I wanted to get onto that. There's quite a few have already commented before the video was actually started. I've only just picked up on these. Let's see. Mark Holt, do you think they've done enough to keep the Glazers out movement quiet? That's a really good question to start, actually, because I've said this all along, all summer, that the Glazers would just do enough to keep United relevant in terms of bringing in the right amounts of money, and that would be finishing in the top four. Pretty much like Arsenal, that we used to slag Arsenal off for doing, finishing in the top four, making sure the Champions League money comes through, so the pockets are lined for the owners, and obviously the revenues for the clubs are all strong and just enough. Basically, it is being run as a business, pretty much like Arsenal is. They've always managed to just keep in there, although Arsenal's starting to flag a little bit over the last few years. Now we're falling the same way. I do think the Glazers have just literally done what was necessary in terms of each window as it passed. I mentioned it the other a couple of weeks ago about the actual net spend over the last 3 summers, the last 3 major transfer windows. It's been a net spend of around about 80 million with all the ins and outs, and obviously if Lukaku goes, that is pretty much going to be it again this window. United aren't going to be spending ridiculous amounts of money now every single summer. It's clear there's an obvious strategy to the Glazers over the last few windows, especially the summer ones, and that is basically a net spend of around about 80 to 100 million a summer, which a lot of clubs would be happy with, but as Manchester United and all the bragging they do about the money that does come in, it's not enough in a lot of United fans' eyes. And I'm just looking through a few more messages here. Sorry, that's not a flyer running across the screen, but it's got to the stage now where United fans are actually clicking onto everything that's going on with the Glazers now, and the fact that we're not comfortably finishing in the top 4 anymore, that United fans are coming up with more and more Glazer out and more of that sort of conversation and issues, and putting all the blame back on the Glazers again, because obviously on the field things haven't been great. So then you're looking at managers. We've changed the managers so often now. We've gone about 4 or 5 managers now, and that's not changed anything in terms of league positions and fighting for titles. So what's next? Obviously then it's the Glazers. They're the only ones who can be blamed after that, because they're in charge of the club and they employ the people, i.e. Ed Woodward, and the people in charge, no director of football, so on and so forth. So obviously United fans are going to be going straight for the Glazers' throats in terms of the issue and why everything has gone so wrong. Deadwood FC, yeah, that is a problem. I'm hearing today though that there are rumours that United now, that it is looking, if you do believe everything that the Sky Sports say and other reporters are saying, that United are finished now in terms of players coming in, that there could be a possible few players going out, and that being Smalling and Rojo, I think the Times are reporting on, and that obviously needed to happen way before we got to this stage of the window. I think my whole issue with this transfer window was how late we have left the window, and in terms of bringing all the players in, I think the fact that we're at this stage now with just a few days to go and still unsure about what is actually happening in terms of players leaving and players coming in, that was the biggest problem for me and the biggest issue I had all summer. So yeah, I'm thinking this window, if you look at it from, let's say, we look at it from front to back in terms of players that have been brought in and exactly what we needed. Just let me reposition because I'm trying to find a shadier spot. Well, I'm just going to have to stick with this one for now, I'm afraid. The sun has just come over the top of the hotel, so I'm looking to just get as much as I can. But yeah, so if you look at our transfer window in terms of players come in, if you look at it from the back, I don't think anyone could have an issue with the way we've done. Oh yeah, we could have, obviously, same again, timing issue, why didn't we get the deals done earlier? But in terms of actual playing staff that we've got in there now in our defence, I don't think that transfer business wise we have done really bad at all. I'm really happy with how our defence is actually looking across the back 4, especially now. De Gea solid, Shaw does need to improve going forward, but defensively is good. Obviously Lindelof, one of our best players last year. Maguire in at centre back now, and Wan-Bissaka obviously is a great signing as well. So defensively I think we pretty much nailed it in terms of this transfer window. I've got no issues at all with the defensive side of it. Forward looking, I do think we have got a lot of prospects in terms of the kids coming through. Rashford and Martial do need to step up this summer. You all know how I feel about Juan Mata and that contract extension. People were going on about me being too harsh about Juan Mata and the deal that he got, and signing and rewarding mediocrity, which pretty much is what he is now at this stage of his career and the age he is. When's the last time United ever signed someone up to a 3-year deal when they've gone past 30? You can scroll down my videos, you'll see the Mata one, and then, like I said from the previous video the other day, all I heard the other day in the AC Milan game was people moaning about Mata. I mean, I said it months ago, that Mata signing was not the way forward for United, and everyone was saying it was too harsh and saying that this wasn't fair on him. He's a good player and can still be someone that the rest of the squad look up to. I mean, what really do you expect? I mean, I've said it, and I said my feeling, and I made them quite clear about Juan Mata's new deal, and that was the fact that it was a bad one and the money could be spent better elsewhere. Yeah, if you want to give the guy an ambassador role, just let him do it when his career ends, yeah. if the players were going to look up to someone like Juan Mata, then where has that been the last 3 or 4 years? Where was it on Saturday against AC Milan? Because he is too slow. Yeah, his footballing brain is brilliant, but when you get to a certain age, the body can't keep up, and that's clear with Juan Mata now. Moving across to Jesse Lingard as well now. I mean, after his summer, there's no reprimand after his antics in the summer. There was nothing mentioned by the club. It's just been brushed under the carpet. And then today we're hearing that Jesse Lingard's now in for $250,000 a week new contract. I mean, where's everyone stand with Jesse Lingard in terms of that contract? Because that for me is just an absolute joke. I mean, what does he bring? Yeah, he scored a goal against AC Milan at weekend. So what? You can't score a goal, like you said, in a friendly with no pressure on you, then you shouldn't be in the Premier League or even playing football. But he's now getting a new deal. Is that the sign that United's window is pretty much done and dusted to actually give Jesse Lingard $250,000 a week? I mean, what did he do last season? He was absolutely shocking. Yeah, I know Martial and Rashford weren't brilliant either, but you can see the potential in Martial and Rashford. They're still younger. Lingard is 27 now. If you're signing up a player for $250,000 a week, we just bought Harry Maguire, who's been one of the consistent centre-backs in the Premier League. He's only on £190 a week, apparently. And now Jesse Lingard's going to get $250,000 a week for what? What did he do? What did he do to warrant getting that contract? And that's a couple of issues with the forward line. The good issues with, obviously, our forward line are, like I've said a number of times this pre-season, that's the kids. We've not brought any players in, barring James, in terms of forward players. James has looked pretty decent. He does need a bit more. I think we've seen it through the summer. He's pretty raw. He has got talent there, but I think we all knew for 18 million Championship player that he was a little bit of a, he's not so much a gamble because time was on his side and he was cheap enough in terms of that deal, but he has got potential and can be brought through in time. But that was it in terms of forwards. The good bit about our forward line and our forward play has been the younger players, because when they came on against AC Milan at weekend, it all changed. It was a different sort of look going forward. I mean, you cannot fault the way Greenwood and Gomez have, even Chong himself has actually played this summer. They've played better than some of the first team players, but I've said it before, unless Ollie's actually going to start playing these players more and bring them in even to the matchday squad instead of the likes of Mata, instead of the likes of Lingard, who haven't done enough, then we're never going to see the full potential of these kids. They should be playing every single Europa League game. They should be playing every single Carabao Cup game that we have got this season now, because they've proved this summer that they can mix it with the first team players. They outperformed a lot of the first team players, and that has been a major positive for United this summer in terms of our forward line. Obviously we can't talk about any other signings because there's no one new come in terms of forward line. And you may have noticed that I did skip the midfield. Usually you would go defence, midfield, attack. Went from defence to attack because the major issue that we all know, and I've left this till last and I want everyone's opinions on this, because I think they're all going to be pretty much on the same page, that United's midfield is the major issue now. I think the fact that we've covered our defence and strengthened it so much that everything that is a problem at United now stems from that midfield, and the fact that even Scott McTominay looked a miles better player when Matic came off the pitch at weekends says it all. But for some reason Ollie is going to keep playing the Nemanja Matic in that midfield, and to play Mata in a forward position as well as Matic, as our last pre-season friendly, usually sort of get an idea in the last games of pre-season about the team that's going to start the season, and that was a little bit of a worry. There's a lot of United fans worried about that starting lineup. The three players that I've mentioned there, that I still think will be an issue this season, because we have covered a lot of our other defensive issues. I don't need to mention the Three Stooges, Chuckle Brothers or anything like that, because I think that's been put to bed now with signs we've made in defence. But in midfield, going forward, Mata, Matic and Lingard are three players for me I don't think should be ever starting for United again. I'll call me harsh, call me whatever you want in terms of that statement, but for me, them players, we have better players in the team right now than them in the youth players for me. Yeah, you can say throwing the youth players in at the deep end, but look at who we're playing the first game of the season in Chelsea. And Lampard's obviously had his hands tied, I know, but he ain't going to think twice about throwing some of their young players in there. And look at some of Chelsea's younger players now. They're some of the most touted players in Europe. And they're going to get their chance this season. So, for me, I'd rather see now, if this is the end of our transfer window and there is no more players coming in, that I think the youth players should be the ones taking the matchday squad. I'm not necessarily saying that they should be straight into the first team, because that would be naive and a bit silly, because they may not be ready for the pressure cooker that is Manchester United in the Premier League, because the fans are going to be baying for blood. The fans are going to expect a quick start, because if we carry on where we left off from last season, then it's going to get nasty again in the stands. It did it last season, and it will start again next season if we don't get off to a good start, because the way we finished last season in relegation form, which can't be denied, then that going into the start next is going to put pressure on Ollie straight away, and then automatically he's going to start taking risk in terms of players playing and how and what he's actually going to pick. He's going to go back to the safe players again, which he did last season, which are your Matters, which are your Matiches, because they will listen to every single word Ollie has to say, because they're at the end of their careers. Why would they kick up a stink in terms of what is going on at the club and who should be playing and what style of football should be playing, who should be playing where? They'll play anywhere that Ollie puts them, because Ollie knows that they will listen to him, and they're his safe bet players. Mourinho did exactly the same thing towards the end of his stay at United. He started playing the safe players, the ones he knew listened to him, and ignored the players who were going to be the risk takers, you could say. The risk takers are the players who, you could say, for me, risk players are the likes of Fred, who was moaned about last season for giving the ball away too much, because he's forward thinking and he takes a chance. Pogba gives the ball away a lot, but he does make things happen as well. Unless you're going to have the guts to play the forward pass and actually try and play the defence cutting pass, then you're never gonna know how good a player is. When players make mistakes or you can moan about simple passes going astray, and you can have a moan about that, but if you're trying to play a forward pass from midfield and fans are going to moan about that, then the player's going to have no chance. Matic Matic is being found out by playing sideways football. He's that slow. Mato would like to play a forward pass, but he hasn't got the nous anymore, and it's always sideways, tidy play. Tidy play's not going to get you anywhere. You need a cutting edge. Who in our midfield has that cutting edge right now? Like, Scott McTominay took a chance, but Scott McTominay isn't the answer. As good as he is and as much as he is progressing, Scott McTominay is not United's number one answer for midfield at the moment. Maybe in time, yeah. Don't know, he's still young in his career. And that is the case of a lot of United's players at the moment, especially the forwards. Martial and Rashford need to have big years this year. New contracts in. Scott McTominay's got his contract. Excuse me. Matic hasn't got one, thank God, but then again we're looking at Mata having his contracts, and that's my whole point. Are United looking at these as our midfield for next season? Because we have 4 days left now, and if nothing else is going to happen in these next 4 days, that is pretty much going to be our midfield, because I can't see Ole actually starting the younger players ahead of the likes of Lingard, Matic, who I think are our fringe and reserve players at best. But if they're going to start next season, then questions are going to have to be asked about Ole, because we all know there are better options that we have there now, even though they're not great in terms of like Fred, Pereira, McTominay. I'd rather see them three playing alongside the likes of Pogba, if we do manage to keep hold of Pogba. I know it looks like it's safe, but I wouldn't put anything past Real Madrid coming in with some sort of deal, or Pogba kicking up a stink in these next few days. Let's not forget, Real Madrid's window isn't shutting yet. And United could have shot themselves in the foot if we don't buy a midfielder now or don't get anyone else in. We could be left short. because it was clear without Pogba against AC Milan that we have zero creativity, and the link from midfield to attack was pretty much non-existent, and it is a worry going forward for the season. So that's the point I was making in terms of this transfer window this summer. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Defensively, it's been superb. We've addressed two major issues that we do have in the club. We've bought players who are hungry, players who want to play for United, and are at the right stage of their career to actually progress as well, on good contracts with a lot of potential. So I am totally happy with what we've done at the back. How everyone else feels, let me know. It's hard for me to see everyone's messages because of the sun and the glare at the moment, so please ignore me if I'm not coming up or talking about anyone's comments. I'll try to do that just towards the end. But midfield is the major issue for me. Attack, we do have options there. Which way is he going to go? I'm quite excited to see if some of the kids come forward into next season, especially Greenwood, because the fact that he plays with both feet, you can't play him any side. There's no weak side that a defender can play him on. We can nurture him through into the team. He could be set for United for 15 years. He could be like the standard Wayne Rooney was when he came through at 16, 17. Is he going to get the chance? The issue that we have actually got is if Ollie stays or if we get to this bad start and we end up on the board, end up sacking Ollie if results are not good, because we are money driven. Manager changing is going to be the issue for the kids. If Ollie is still in charge and we stick with him no matter what, then I do think that the kids will get the chance. I think Greenwood will come through and he will be great for us. But if Ollie is gone by, say, December, which is possible, we all know, especially if results don't go well, then it could hamper the youth team again. Hampering the youth players, someone mentioned it to me the other day, I've been mentioned a few times before actually, and that is the likes of Mata starting are probably going to take away the opportunities for the likes of Angel Gomez, who has been, again, excellent on this pre-season. In terms of performance related, if you're going to play a team off pre-season and the way they've played in pre-season, then there's so many of that first team squad of United that won't get ahead of any younger youth players. Is Ollie going to have the balls to play some of the younger players? Is he going to have the balls to drop some of the well-known clique, as we used to call it last season, the favourites, the English favourites, the likes of Young, the likes of Lingard, Rashford when he wasn't playing well, always got a start. Is it going to be the same again this season, or is Ollie going to be true to his word and actually drop the players that deserve to be dropped and give other players the chance? I mean, we've not seen enough of Fred this summer because of obviously family issues of him getting married and not playing as many games. I haven't seen enough of pre-season in terms of, well, I've been away to actually judge a lot of the players. I just know, and I'm judging the players from last season. I've said it before, pre-season means nothing to me in terms of results. I do not care, because I know exactly how these players are going to perform under pressure, like they did last season, and coming to it against Chelsea, if they let us down again, I'm going to be sat here going, I told you so. And you can't, the left never changes its spots. They are not going to get any better than what they are at this age of this stage of their careers. There's a lot of them in there, and the fact that we can't get rid of them is a bit of a worry. Whether or not now, in these last few days of the window, we can actually flirt a few of them and actually make room for some of the younger players. I mean, we've got Axel, who's played well all summer in defence. He should be maybe fourth in line in defence instead of the likes of Smalling or Jones. Would he do any worse than them two? Let's be honest. Would he do any worse than Rojo, who can't even stay fit to play more than 4 games a season? Is that worse? Having a youth player like Axel and keeping Rojo? Why not send Rojo out on loan if we cannot sell him? Let him actually go somewhere else and maybe get a few games under his belt and earn a little bit more value, and then maybe we can sell him next summer. Maybe Axel should stay. Maybe he should be there learning from the likes of Maguire now, Bissaka, all these young hungry defenders, and Lindelof, Shaw, these players who actually want to play constantly now for United. Maybe he should be staying, and maybe it should be the likes of Jones, Smalling and Rojo going out on loan instead if you can't get rid of them. Take them away. Let them learn somewhere else. Let them actually think that they have to fight for their places maybe the standards, oh God, they're clutching at straws, maybe they'll play better somewhere else, I don't know, because United is too much for them. We've seen that it is too big a jump and too big a stage for the likes of them players. They should be weaned out of the club now by any means, even if it is on loan, like I said, for the time being. They should be not even thought about for matchday squads. Right, moving on to the next point. Let me just see if I can pick up on a few comments. Just bear with me, I'm just trying to get a little bit of shade. No, it's impossible. The LA Sun have killed it. City wouldn't have paid that much for him. I take it you're talking about... yeah, there's a few conversations going on again between yourselves. Sorry. Let me see. Another sort of more Deadwood. Thanks, Ed. Michael Brown. Maybe won't judge the Deadwood until the summer's finished. I'm still clinging on to the hope that we do manage to get rid of a few. If you lower out Axel, I'm done. Axel, Rojo, Jones, Smalling, etc. I take it that's the order you're thinking. Pecking order, that was Paul Robinson. Yeah, I agree, mate. Axel comes ahead of Smalling, Jones and Rojo for me. I don't think he'd do any worse. If City signed Maguire, no one would have complained about the fee. Not bothered about fees, don't care. United earn enough to play. United earn enough to pay any club anything that they want for a player. He had 4 years left on his contract. We were never going to get him cheap. Let's not even moan about the Harry Maguire transfer fee. He's on 190 grand a week. We're about to pay Jesse Lingard 60 grand a week more, so let that one sink in. He hasn't got the balls. If he did, he'd have already done it. Oh, what the excuse is? Yeah, I'm thinking you're talking about Ollie having balls to actually drop the Deadwood, mate. That was Rave 616. I hope he does change, mate, because he has to realise this summer and the end of last season, he must have learnt a lot, Ollie, in that time, that what he needs to do and what it's going to take to actually succeed at United, because our playing staff is what's going to let him down at the end of the day. He's obviously getting it hard from above in terms of scouting staff and the board, making it difficult by not buying the right players and not giving out the right amount of money for him to spend and strengthen. So if he's not getting help from upstairs and the players are not giving him that, he's going to have to be a bit more ruthless and take it upon his shoulders and say, look, things need to change. I'm going to change it the only way I can, which is in his powers, would be dropping a lot of the Deadwood and bringing some of the youth players through. He'd get a lot of respect from the United fans for doing that. So it just goes to say, doesn't it? Hopefully he can step up the mark, step up. Our scouting system is a joke. Zach, yeah, it is, mate. I mean, we're hearing rumours about Fernandes being scouted for a full year. Like, what's the point? Why waste your time if you're not going to buy someone? Surely a scout report would have come through earlier on. You want him or you don't. Why hasn't the club come out and just simply said that United are not in for Fernandes if we are in for him? Because it's making our scouting system look even more stupid. I don't blame Ollie, to be fair. I think he was told there would be big changes. That has not happened. Yeah, Thomas O'Sullivan. Yeah, there are a lot of arguments for and against Ollie in terms of that. Obviously, we are all still not happy with what he said towards the end of last season about this playing. A lot of these players won't be playing for the club anymore, and a lot of them still obviously are. And obviously, he hasn't dissected the club, the team, the playing staff like he says he was, and he said he will be successful at United. Obviously, we need to give him time to do that, but is he going to be able to be successful with a bunch of players that barely got 2 wins in the last 7 or 8 games last season? You know what I mean? He's not really going to be successful with that sort of standard of player if that's what's going to come out. Need Paul on the board, bro. Yeah, I think the board would be short, probably. I think if Paul was on the board at United, I don't think there'd be any players in the squad. I think we'd end up with no playing staff. I think we'd have a better scouting system if Paul was on, I'll say that. Yeah, so I'm just going to move on to the next point, and that is obviously, I did make a point of it at the start of the video that obviously players coming in has been an issue, but players going out has been a major issue. And what the hell is going on with Romelu Lukaku at the moment? I mean, that epitomises United's setup at the moment in terms of how the club is being run. Where's Alexis Sanchez? You know what I mean? He was supposed to be back when? 2 weeks ago, Ollie said. Another thing Ollie has said, he expects him to be back. If you don't know when one of your players is supposed to be coming back, don't come out and say he's coming back in 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of the actual summer, because now we've got a player that I haven't seen all summer. He played for Chile. That competition finished, 4 or 5 weeks ago? So where the hell is he? What's going on? I mean, maybe I've missed a bit while being over here in America. Is he in training? Are the pictures of him in training yet? I've not seen anything. He's not been mentioned. Is he going to be part of the matchday squad for Chelsea? What is going on? I mean, yeah, no idea. But the main issue that I have got with the players at the moment, actually, just before I do go into Lukaku, the fact that Dybala deal has been KO'd, that is a positive. I've tweeted it. I got loads of comments back from that tweet saying, obviously we still need quality players. We should be going all out to get quality players like Dybala. But the way United have actually conducted themselves in terms of the Dybala deal, him and his agent wanting astronomical amounts of money, and Ollie's setting his stall out, and his plan is to obviously only buy players that do really want to play for United and are fully committed to United. The whole story, if it was true about Dybala coming and wanting stupid amounts of money, his agent wanting so much money, and United killing that deal right there, because that deal just had Alexis Sanchez written all over it. And the fact I just touched on Sanchez then just reminded me about bringing up this Dybala issue. If Dybala and Juventus have said this deal is not dead yet, I do think that they want Lukaku, and they are struggling to pump up the money completely to get Lukaku outright, and players are going to have to obviously be in on this deal. Then if it is the case like it says and was reported that his agent wanted so much money, he wanted this amount of wages, it's Sanchez number 2 all over for me. And United saying that they don't want anything to do with that sort of player and that sort of deal is good news and is positive in my eyes, because we've seen what happens with players who are just here for the wages and here for a free ride, like Rojo, South American, Sanchez, South American. See where I'm going? Fred, I'm not putting that bracket yet because he does look like he wants to try and wants to play football. Rojo has been happy sitting on the sidelines for 3 years, earning millions and doing absolutely nothing. Dybala, he is a good player, I know he is, but the fact that he is really only looking to come to United because Juventus don't want him, and he wants a contract different to every other player at United, he's only going to cause issues behind the scenes in the dressing room again, and that is the last thing we need right now, because we're seeing right now in Romelu Lukaku, which brings me on to my last point again, exactly what happens when you've got a player who doesn't want to be at the club for the right reasons. How United have let this happen, where he is actually training at another club now, less than a week before the opening game of the season. That basically kills off everything good that United have done this summer, which hasn't been loads, I know, but there has been some good bits. But if you're letting one of your record signings dictate to you exactly how a summer should go, he's done nothing for the club. He's not looked like he wanted to be on the tour. He took a free ride and sat there, trained, well, you could call it training. He's now training at Anderlecht. Why is he not training with United? That is an absolute farce that he's training at another club now, less than a week to go before the start of the season. I know United need to get rid of Lukaku, but the way it's going at the moment, there is a chance that he could still be at the club next season, and that is just going to cause so many issues behind the scenes at United, especially in the changing room. A player that obviously has made it absolutely clear that he does not want to be at the club anymore, and I've seen United fans on Twitter saying he's been mistreated and been given a hard time. He's had as much criticism as any of the other players, believe me. Been there home and away, and he has had the same criticism as the other players, and all he's done is moan, point, and then he's got out another video saying that he's the fastest player in the club. Fastest player at what? Over 100 yards? Over 50 yards? What go? go do a career in track and field then. You're not being paid to be the fastest player. You're being paid to play football and consistently score goals, which you don't. Yeah, you can cling on to your international record as much as you want, but turning up every 3 months for your country and scoring a couple of goals here and there against absolute shocking shite teams that you do play against in international football, you can cling on to that. You can cling on to the Everton record, where Everton fans have come and told me exactly the same. He'd turn up and score 6-7 goals within 4 games, disappear for another 8 weeks, then bag a couple of hat-tricks, score 5 against Bournemouth that he did that time, and get his average just over 20 goals again and cling on to that. People have said to me, but he had a good spell in an important part of United's season. United's season is important all the way through the season. I'm not having the fact that he is just scoring 6 goals in 3 games against Palace, Southampton and PSG, an important part of United's season. Every game for United is important. What did he do after that? Tell me that. I know a lot of other players didn't, but they aren't kicking up the stink that Lukaku is now, thinking he is some big time player, like he is world class. And for him to come out with that comment about on the video about him being the fastest player in the team is an absolute joke. And how United have let it happen, like they did with Lingard, and not reprimand him at all, then it just pretty much destroys every good bit of business that United have actually done this summer, because it's just making us look stupid as always. And Lukaku has to go. He has to go. Whether we get someone else in, it probably looks like we won't now, but if he starts next season, if he comes in and he's part of our playing staff next season, that is a massive worry for me. It is. It really is. It's massive worry, because he doesn't want to be at the club, and he has made it clear that he will disrupt whatever he can to get his way. He spat his dummy out, and he's just literally had enough. And I've had enough of him. I had enough of him last season, his mopsing around, and for him to bring out a video saying he's one of the fastest players in the club. Fastest at what? Sprinting, doing one sprint, that's all he does. He has one sprint in a game and then he's knackered. You don't see him again for another 10 minutes because he's still trying to catch his breath. So I'm not having it at all. The guy is just an absolute idiot and needs to be out of the club. But my issue with it all is the fact that United have actually let this happen and go on as long as it has. It's embarrassing, and it just makes us look like a banter club, which we pretty much are. Let's just read a few of your comments before we finish and wrap things up. Zaha and Eric Bailly, shirt talking, free kicks, possible last minute bid for him. Zaha, yeah, I don't think Zaha wants to come to United, and again that takes me back to players who actually want to play for United, and the way Ollie's going, I do like that idea of players who want to play, and we've got 3 players there that do. So no, Zaha not for me. I don't want him. Where are the guaranteed goals? There is no guaranteed goals at United. It's simple. We need players to actually step up and actually prove a point now. I mean, I'm expecting 20 goals from Rashford this season in the Premier League for that contract that he's got. I expect a similar amount from Martial. They're our main 2 strikers now for me. If them 2 don't perform next season, we're obviously going to be in trouble. But you know what I mean? United have committed to them 2 players now. We've actually said that they are our main guys. It's what them 2 both wanted. So if they don't perform, then it's all down on them. They've been given everything by the club that they wanted, and it's down to them to perform now and make it happen, because without them 2 performing to their best of ability now, because they are our main 2 first team players for me going forward, then we are going to struggle. I totally agree with that comment. Let's see what else we've got. Fastest player left at home, Darren. Yeah, definitely. Christina, true Adam, yes, thank Christina. I don't think Rashford or Martial will score 20 goals each, but I think collectively for us, front 6 can bag goals. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of goals in our forward line, there really is. I mean, Rashford and Lingard, forget even mention his name. Rashford and Martial, for me, they should be a minimum 30 to 40 goals in the Premier League between them 2 this season. They're playing every week. There's no excuse for them not to be, because, like I said, they are United's main players now, and they're the ones who should be stepping up the mark. Paul Robinson, Longstaff, that one won't go away, will it? I don't think Longstaff is going to come in. I really don't. I think he'll go down and sinking ship with Newcastle, like I said in the last video with Steve Bruce. Fergie Day would have signed Harry Kane, but I think the last time we did sign a player from Spurs, and obviously I know there's rumours about Eriksen going on, I'm just ignoring them, not bringing them up, because I don't think United will ever buy a player from Spurs again without having our pants pulled down. Let me just read a few more. Sorry guys, I'm scrolling through. Let's see. Keelan went. At the time Morata was on form and he's technically better. He would have been more fluid, is what I'm saying. I take it someone's having a debate there over whether we should have bought Morata over Lukaku when that deal went down. Didn't want any of them in terms of how they are now. They both proved that the Premier League is, at the highest level of Premier League, is too much for him. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to scrape down to the bottom. Most of them are just other ones we touched on before. Right, sorry to say that there's no way them two will get 20 Premier League goals. That's Anthony Wisdom. Yeah, no mate, I know there's a chance that they won't, but what I'm trying to say is the fact that now United have pretty much committed to them two as our main strikers, and Ollie has said it, then they should be expecting to take a heap of criticism next season and not come back with anything, and no complaints about anything like that. They should realise that they're playing for Man United now. They are United's top two strikers on good contracts, and expect criticism to come next season. They are going to have to start performing even better than they ever have in their careers now, because they are the main guys there now. We're not committing to any other forwards this window. It's clear now, and that's it for us going forward. They've got to step up. They have to step up, and I know how you feel. I know it's hard to say that they will get the goals we need next season because they are inconsistent, but they've been given the chance. We're going to have to back them for the start of it and for the most of it, but it is down to them ultimately now to actually make it happen. Christina, thank you for thinking about us even on your holiday, much appreciated as always. Yeah, thank you Christina. Yep, all the family are great. They're all sat here next to me. Won't ever come on one of the vlogs though. No. Rob, Ollie won't be doing anything silly like that. The fans won't have it, and he knows it. He'll back him. Yeah, 7th place. Yeah, confidence for you. Thank you. Yeah, if we only bring in Bruno now, I think that's good window. We can build on going forward. Keelan meant, yeah, if Fernandes did come in, I said it in the last video, I think Fernandes now would be an absolute bonus. It's not going to happen, I don't think. I do think I was resigned to the fact a few weeks ago. I made a point of it that anything coming in now over the last 3 or 4 weeks of this window, I thought everything should have been done already. It's just, I sort of had a feeling that this is the way the window was going to go. If you are a big club, you get your deals done early, you get everything in place ready, and I've sort of always been a little bit resigned to the fact that we could end up with no one. Obviously Maguire's in, which is good, but I would not be surprised now if this was actually it for United. Thomas O'Sullivan, another one saying thank you for the content and everything. Yeah, it's no problem guys. Always wanted to live stream you guys and keep it real, especially over this last couple of weeks where everyone's having a little bit of a meltdown. Okay, I've just had a warning about my battery actually going down, so I'm going to end the video there guys. I don't want to just cut it short without finishing the video off and saying thank you to everyone for coming on again. As always, we had quite a lot of people on this morning, or evening to you guys, or wherever you are. So thanks for coming on. I'm going to finish the video up there, and I will be back before I leave. I come back on Thursday, but I'll probably be back in England on Friday, the way the time difference is and time of the flight. The the transfer deadline closes literally as I set off for the airport, so maybe you'll see me again just before we actually leave for LAX. And something could have happened, something might not have happened. More than likely, nothing would have happened, knowing United. But Lukaku has to happen. That's one thing that definitely is got to happen, and hopefully United can get that deal done at least. I know it's going to be annoying because they'll probably pocket the cash at the end of it if we don't get any player swaps, and then the Glazers get to spend it elsewhere. I know, it's annoying, but what can we do? We can't have that player in our team next year. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. Obviously, I will be back later on in the week as the transfer window ends, or if anything else does come up in the meantime. Hope you all have a good evening and a good start to your week. I will see you guys soon. Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe if you're watching for the first time. I'll catch you guys later in the week. It's nearly time to come home. It's nearly time for the start of the season. TikTok.